Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Now, first things first, sorry that it's been a bit of a while since I've put a video up, but I've been at university. I do a part-time degree, so I disappear every now and again, so everything's been a bit busy and it's been difficult to put up any new content, but I'm back. So today we're going to be looking at stocks, but more precisely these stocks, the EPS and ASG's equivalent. Remember guys, if you like the videos, give us a thumbs up, remember to subscribe, and let's have a look at these stocks. So let's just rewind for a second. We'll just go back 6 months. So I was using my M4, my trusty M4. I spent years and years messing with and fiddling with to make it better. And the stock I was using on it at the time was this, a Magpul UBR stock. I love these things. They're fantastic. They're so solid. They don't make a noise. They don't rattle. All you can hear there is the bolt inside that's loose at the moment. But they don't move around and they get this nice slide as they push back and forwards. But the one thing I suffered with this thing was battery space, because I only had the tube. I even had to make a specialist mounting system on it, on my lathe, to try and get it to fit properly with a battery. And I did that and it worked, but I could only use this battery, this 7.4. And it was 7.4, 25C, 1450 milliamp. And it was good, it did the job, but it was tight, there wasn't a lot of space. And then one day I was putting it in, I just pinched the wires and the battery started to burn up and I had to throw it out. And I thought to myself at the time, this route just isn't working. It's such a faff, such a fiddle to change a battery. And if it goes down in the middle of a day, or if you're playing a long, full day of airsoft without time between the rounds, it's a total pain in the backside. And I thought, there's got to be a better way than this. And obviously there is, but it means not using the UBR stock, which is tragic in many ways because I love it, but there you go. So I've taken this off. So I started looking around and I found the Strike Systems ATS stock from ASG. These come in at around 35 to 38 pounds, I've seen them for, and they're readily available. You can get them in tan or black colour. At the same time, as I was looking around, I saw the PTS enhanced polymer stock. Now, these are a little bit more expensive. They seem to be around the £44 mark. So they're roughly between sort of £8 and £10 more expensive. And I thought to myself, are they worth the extra money? And to do a comparison between the two. Now, the reason I chose these stocks is they're particularly set up to take more batteries, bigger batteries, and it gives you more options when upgrading, so you can put the different batteries in there. So rather than just get them out of the box and look at them, I thought I'd use them, play with them for a bit and see how the results came out. And they're a little bit surprising actually. Some things sort of went the way I thought they would and some things didn't. So without further ado, we'll have a look at them. So we'll have a look at how they fit on the gun and how they look to start with, and then we'll talk about their actual operation. So first up is my M4, my trusty M4. I've had this for many years. It was actually the first airsoft gun I ever bought. If anyone's ever seen a comedy called Only Fools and Horses, if you're not from the UK, this is what I would call as Trigger's broom, because there's literally no part of this that is original except for the gearbox shell and the outer barrel. Yeah, that's the only original parts to this gun. It is actually a G&G M4. So this is the stock in its current configuration. Works like any collapsible M4 stock, completely the same. The one thing to remember is a little catch inside here that goes up, so if you want to remove it, you just press it down and it comes off the end. That catch literally never stays there. If it's in the down position, it goes back and it stops. It never stays there. It's always finds its way up to the top position, so when you do go to pull it off, it comes off the end and your wires come out and your battery falls out, which is really annoying. So just something to bear in mind, ASG. Now, the eagle-eye, amongst you might notice there's actually some, there's actually some tape on my stock tube. The reason that's there is because it wobbles around like crazy if you don't have it on. So you have to have some form of shimming actually on the stock tube to stop it rattling around. Now, that's pretty normal for M4 stocks. It's nothing new, but it does irritate me a little bit. So if I put that back on, as you can see, it's still got a little bit of wobble in it. It's not the worst thing in the world. Get it back on there properly. Down, so that's the full extension. Bit of movement on there, but hey, nothing worse than any M4, and I think you'll find every real steel would be the same. So let's have a look at it off the gun and see exactly how it works with the batteries, because at the end of the day, that's what makes the difference with these things. So the way you use this stock is you press 2 tabs at the end and it pops off. And it reveals a cavernous internal. It really is big. So you can get all kinds of batteries in there. You can get nunchuck style batteries in there. You can get your 3-cell type batteries, your 11.1s, and still have plenty of room in there, even with the stock tubing. There's so much room. And don't forget, this is also hollow. So when it goes back on the end there, there's an absolute ton of room. I think at a push, you could get some really big 11.1s in here. Maybe even a 14-volt battery, maybe, but then not many people use them. Personally, I still use a 7.4, but I use a more powerful one that fits nicely in the end of the stock there. I turn it round and don't get it the wrong way in. It just sits in the end there, and the battery and the cables just slot in. And it works really well. I love that. That's perfect. It does have a loop here, so if you wanted to fit some kind of sling device, I'm not sure what kind you could fit on there. I haven't actually found anything for it. The dog jumps off the sofa. But yeah, you could use it at a push. I've not really looked into that because I use a sling mount on the actual gun itself rather than the stock. But not the most intuitive. You'd have to do something to it to get anywhere. I think you might have to screw something onto it, but not something I'd use, but worth mentioning. It's quite a smooth plastic polymer. It's not particularly textured. It's quite flat finish to it. So this is a dark earth model. They come in black, and the stock, the butt pad here is actually a smooth plastic as well. It's not rubberized. It does feel slightly different to the rest of it, but it's certainly not got a rubber coating on. I think it might be something like a texturized paint on there. But all in all, decent quality for the price, not the worst. But then again, it's not exactly exotic either. So moving on swiftly, we'll look at the PTS stock, which is here. This one's in black, and I've got it attached to my 416 from Spectre Arms. And this particular one, this stock I bought, again, because I have upgraded this gun, I want a bigger battery in there, and I could only fit a nunchuck battery into the old crane style stock, which I've got over here. This was the original crane style stock, so nothing wrong with these. They're absolutely perfect. Take that off and you fit your crane battery in there with the cables going in. I did have to modify it a little bit to get a slightly bigger battery in, but again, I wanted something with more power. So again, I was looking at either 11.1 or 7.4, but at high rated ampage and bigger C. I'm not sure what that stands for, but bigger C output, if you like. And I came across obviously these two stocks, and this is the EPS. Now this one, you'll notice for a start, is much stiffer on the actual tube. It hardly moves. Very little movement, even on full extension. Push it in a little bit, none at all. You can see it fits much nicer and it feels much firmer. There's no movement at all, and you can feel it even when it's in your shoulder. The butt pad on the end is also rubberized, so it gives you a much nicer texture, and it sort of clings to your clothes more. So an example of that is if you have your gun into your shoulder like this, if I was to let go of it, it'd just sit there. Even on full extension, you pull it out, put it into your shoulder, it doesn't move. Whereas with the ASG one, it's a little slippier and it will move around on your clothing. It can slip down. Not that that's a big deal. You don't run around the field with your gun like this. Oh, you stupid boy. But it shoulders really nicely and it feels great. If the camera's wobbling, it's because my dogs decide to walk all over the tripod. But yeah, it feels good. You can get down in there and it doesn't pull the hairs out of my beard like the other stock does. I have no idea why it does it. It seems to be an M4 thing. But yeah, so far, really impressed with it. So let's look at the inside of it. Again, it works in a very similar way. You press the two tabs together at the bottom. The difference with this one, it just hinges off. So it's got a little catch up there and you just hinge it off. Now space-wise, it's actually very similar. Again, you've got this large section here that you can fit the battery into. So if I wanted to do the same as I did before, the battery will fit in there nicely. It'll go down the stock tube. Same if you want to put a crane style battery, a nunchuck battery in there. Again, it works fine. You've got lots and lots of space in this holder. And the same with the 3-cell battery that I had here a minute ago that I've now lost. That will also fit in here really easily with lots of space for cables and lots of space for the cells. This one also comes with a quick detach sling mount as well here. I wouldn't personally hang a rifle with this kind of stock off just a single sling mount, but it'd work perfectly fine with a 3-point if you wanted to, because it doesn't take so much weight. And again, you've got a 3-point sling mount here as well, or a 2-point even on this position. So you've got a few options with a sling on this, a bit more than the other one, and because of the sturdiness, I feel like it'd be a bit better suited as well. So with that said, we'll speak about what they're like to actually use, because I've used both of these in anger and I've had some different results, which is quite interesting. So we've had a look at the two stocks on the guns, and in isolation they both look great. When you put them together, there are some noticeable quality differences between the PTS and the ASG stock. The PTS one is a higher quality stock, the finish is nicer, the fitment is better. I'd say as far as battery sizes are concerned, the ASG pips it though. It has got slightly bigger compartment. Looks wise, I guess that's down to individuals. I personally think the PTS looks better. I like the shape better, and it's slightly slimmer. And the cheek rest parts, it looks a little bit nice finish. It's more compact, if you like, but still having a big space for the battery. So the next thing we want to have a look at is how they work, and that, well, I don't mean slide up and down the stock tube, that's stupid, we all know how that works, but how they work in your situations when you're using them out in the field. Now, you think, well, it's a stock, they all work pretty much the same, and I thought the same thing, but then something slightly unusual happened that caught me off guard, and it was to do with the ASG stock. Now, if I take my M4, this isn't a short M4 by any means, it is full length, and so it's not a small one. Now, the one thing I'll say about this is when you go into a building, so if you play on a site that's got buildings and woodland all mixed together, so sort of a real mixed situation, there will be times when you have to clear buildings if you're using a longer rifle. And this is what happened to me. So I was in a corridor clearing rooms, and what happened was I sort of got into there. I didn't have time to collapse stock. Obviously you can push the stock down to help you, but it's still a long rifle. There's still, if you're coming down the corridor, you've still not got a lot of space. So what I was actually doing was clearing rooms. So I was coming up the side, and you start to cut the pie. So if you've ever seen that, it's coming around the corner and then snap to the 90 and then snap to the 180. And what I found really interesting is with this rifle, I tend to have to collapse it a little bit to try and get it into the positions if it's particularly narrow corridor. On this side, they are quite narrow corridors. So we came up into position, I started to cut the pie, coming around, I just tucked it in a little bit just to get extra room, and then snapped the 90. And this is where this stock comes into its own, because I didn't have time to collapse it. So, it's done it again, it's come off. This is really quite annoying. That's another reason I don't mess with the length, because it's able to coming off. So saw that ASG, that's an easy fix. So there it was in its full position. So I came down the corridor, and as I came in, I pulled it in, I started to cut the corner, and then as soon as I got to the 90, snapped it out. And it's a bit difficult to do sitting down because you can't really do it. But as you come in, you snap it into the 90, pull it back in, snap it into the 180 as you come around the corner. Because this isn't rubberized, it slid up and down my shoulder really well, so you can really snap it back into position if you want to. And it doesn't catch, it doesn't bind, and you can pull it in quickly, and you can really move it around. Obviously, if you hold it like that and you let go of it, it slides down your shoulder, but it's no big deal because you don't really do that anyway. So for the benefit of the rubber pad on the actual PTS stock, the fact this hasn't got one actually became quite beneficial. I was really impressed with that little feature. I don't like these cutouts in the side. I suppose you could say they help the battery stay cool, maybe. I don't know. It might be just a style thing. I'm not that keen on it. It shows a little bit too much of the battery inside, but you know, it is what it is. But the actual stock itself works really well. It's unfortunate it wobbles around because that is a little bit frustrating because I don't like having tape on these stock tubes, but you know, that's what I've had to do. But all in all, it performed really well, and that was a little bit of a surprise. That little bit of slippage there, is that a word? Yeah, it worked really well, and I like that. However, it is bulky. It's not the prettiest stock in the world. It's not a bad shape, but it has got a cavernous battery compartment, which is really useful. On the 416, when in use, what can I say? It just feels nice. So because the actual back of it is much narrower, much thinner. It sits in the shoulder better. So yeah, you do get it binding up a bit. If you wanted to, if you were going into the same position and you were low, it can catch on your kit a little bit, but it's no big deal. You just lift it off. Just, you know, it's no big deal. Again, when you snap to 90, it does work okay. You can feel it again. It just binds a little bit, but you can shorten it a touch. But it's on a shorter gun anyway, so it's not really a big deal on this. I can pretty much keep it up into the shoulder anyway. But the question is, which one would I say? If somebody came to me and said, which stock should I buy to stick a larger battery in? And it all comes down to several things. How much you care about how it looks, how much you care about how it feels, and how big a battery you actually want to put in. If you want a high quality product that looks like a full-on real steel everyday piece of kit, that performs well, is solid, well built, you can only really say, and cost isn't an issue obviously, then the PTS stock has it for me. It's an extra, it's like I say, £8 to £10. It's worth every single penny. It is a really nice piece of kit. But then I do like pretty much all of PTS's range. There's not much I don't like. I use their mags as well. However, if you want something a little bit cheaper, you've got a giant selection of batteries you can put in it. You don't mind having to modify the tube a little bit just to put some spacers in to stop it wobbling around, or availability is an issue, then the ASG stock comes up trumps. It is a really good stock. It makes it sound like I don't like it, but I do like it. It's a really good stock. I don't like this catch system on here to stop the stock coming off the end. It doesn't work. It just gets stuck. It needs something to sort of lock it in place. And I've never been able to get to lock in place. It just moves around too much. That's a bit of a letdown. I'd like to see that changed. I could modify it myself to stop it moving, but you know, it's a pain. It's not as good a finish. It's smoother. It's not as tactile as the PTS stock. I can forgive the butt pad because of what I said about before. I don't like the sling mount. I think it's rubbish, if I'm honest. It's just 2 holes. Anyone can put 2 holes in a stock. It'd be nice to see a quick release sling mount on there, so you could put a 3-point sling. Personally, I use these, so it's not an issue for me, but I put these on all my M4 style guns. But yeah, it would have been nice to have a better sling mount on there. Other than that, battery compartment's brilliant, and it's a good start. It's well worth the money, let's put it that way. I mean, if you're looking to spend £15 on a Chinese replica of a PTS, or should I say a Magpul Mo stock or something like that, then so be it. If battery compartments aren't an issue, then you know, well, by all means go for it. I've got about 4 in my my workshop. So yeah, they work great. The original ones, and some of the Chinese ones are okay as well. Not all of them. Some of them are quite low quality, but eBay specials, you roll the dice with those sometimes. But yeah, are these stocks worth the money? Yes, they are. Do they do what you want them to? Yes, they do. Which one's the best one? Well, I think you know the answer. For me, it's the PTS one. I would be tempted to get another PTS and put it on there because I do think it looks that much better. I probably won't, in all honesty, because I don't need to. But then if I have another M4 turn up one day and I want a bigger battery compartment, I may be just swapping this one out for a PTS, and this one can go on the other M4 because I just like the look of the PTS. I mean, if we get them both together and see them together, yeah, quality wise and fitment, I just think the PTS looks the business, and it certainly suits the 416. So guys, if you liked the video, thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up and remember to subscribe so you get the updates. I'll try to get the videos back on track again so you can get them out a little bit more often. Obviously it depends on time and whether I'm doing uni work, because I've got a million assignments to do. But yeah, stay tuned and we'll see you soon. Thanks again. Bye bye.